Hi everyone, my name's Ercy and welcome back to my channel. In this video, I'm going to give you the why I haven't read these books yet tag. So if that's something you want to see, then stick around. So I really love the idea of this tag. Well, first of all, I was tagged to do this by Chaz from Bookish Chaz, and I will leave a link to his version of this tag and his channel. That way you guys can go check him out because he's just so great. I really love Chaz. So he tagged me to do this, and I was gonna wind up doing this anyways because I saw it over on Theo's channel, the Rekindled Reader, and that is where Chaz saw his video and then did the tag and then tagged me. So it's a little ball chain of events kind of thing going on. But either way, I'm gonna do the tag whether I was tagged or not, but Chaz tagged me anyways. So I'm gonna stop explaining because it's a little ridiculous. But it's all about just books that I haven't read yet and why I haven't read them. So it's short and sweet with 5 questions, so let's get started. So the first one that it says is a classic book. And when it comes to classics for high school, so we did read a lot of classics, but one that just kind of never got to within my hands at that time, but it did for other classes, just not mine, is To Kill a Mockingbird by Harper Lee. Yeah, I don't know. I've just never read it. I've never had to read it for school, and I've never had to read it for college either, like university, grad school, like never had to read this book. It's a Pulitzer Prize winning book, very much beloved. Heavy topics that has to do with race, racism, politics in the South, and all that kind of stuff. I believe in the South or in the 1960s. I don't know. Obviously, I've never read this book. I think like a couple years back, it was kind of making its rounds on booktube or somewhere. And so then I wound up picking it up from like a used bookstore. So that is why I own it. And yet I still have not read it. So I guess since I've owned this, the reason why I haven't read it is because I'm just distracted by other books, and that is sort of the story of my life. But I do have it, and I want to read it. I don't know when. I'm gonna film a fall TBR, and this is not on that list. So I don't know when I'm gonna read it, but I will not get rid of it until I do. The next one is a fiction book, and it's very broad. It could be fiction with anything, right? So I wound up choosing a fantasy fiction book, and that is The Fifth Season by N.K. Jemisin. This is the first book of the Broken Earth trilogy, very popular on booktube as well. And it sounds just like, again, up my alley. It's going to be talking about the environment and class and race and all that kind of stuff. All these major themes that really interest me. And again, I've owned this book for like a year, and I'm just distracted by all the other books that I wound up getting to. All the read-alongs and all the, all the fun booktuber books, right? But for some reason, I just haven't picked this up, and I really want to. All 3 books in this trilogy have won the Hugo Award, and I had to look it up, and it's basically like a fantasy science fiction themed award. And I think that's really impressive for all of the books in a series to actually get an award. Usually that's pretty rare. There's a lot of things that come into consideration whenever awards are coming up. Not that I follow them too much, but I just think that's really interesting. So I have it, and I'm gonna read it soon. The next prompt is a non-fiction book I have yet to read. I'm just double checking to make sure. Yes, a non-fiction book I haven't read yet. This one can also count as like one of the longest books that I've owned and I haven't read yet, but we're just gonna use it for this category. And that's Che Guevara, A Revolutionary Life by John Lee Anderson. And this is just a biography of Che Guevara. You can see this book has moved with me. It has survived my dog chewing on it when he was a puppy. He had a thing for like chewing books. Chewing books on my bookshelves. It has survived him. It has survived countless moves. And yet I have not read it. It's even starting to yellow a little bit. I don't know if the camera will pick it up, but it's yellowing a little bit too. Like, what is wrong with me? Back in college, I used to be a part of like the Latin American Alliance of Latin American Students over at my school. You know, we just like hung out, talked about, you know, things that happen in the Latin American community or in the Hispanic community, however you want to phrase it. And this was one of those books that wound up popping up a lot in our conversations. So I wound up picking up a copy of it. And I graduated with my bachelor's back in like 2011. And I still haven't read it. I just get distracted. I think that's just the common theme when it comes to all of these books. Same can be said about the next one, which is a genre book. And you know what? I should have switched it up because I feel like I'm picking, you know, I already got 2 fantasy books on the list, but you know, I'm already here. So, and that is The Poppy War by R.F. Kuang. Again, another one that kind of tickles my fancy in terms of what it's going to be addressing. We have a fantasy series that talks about colonialism and race, politics, classism, all these kind of themes inspired by historical events in Chinese history. So why have I not read it? Because I get distracted. That's sort of that's my answer. Because I own it. Well, this I got as a gift. It was on my wish list, and I believe my cousin Ariani gave it to me for Christmas one year, and I've had it, and I just haven't read it. The last book that I'm going to talk about, and the last prompt of this tag, is a book you've owned for the longest and have not read yet. Now, recently I saw a video from Baron from Your Brain on Books, and he reviewed this book. And that is Ken Follett's The Pillars of the Earth. Also, Larry from Larry Has Opinions has also reviewed this book and loved it too. That was a little while back, and that was another friendly reminder that, hey, you own this book, like, you should read it. And I'm pretty sure I've heard a bunch of other people talking about this book as well, and here I go, owning it and not having read it. It's pretty embarrassing. I have a problem. So this is a historical fiction book about the building of a cathedral, but it is full of drama, craziness, and politics, and scheming, and I don't know. But apparently, it's a pretty cool book. This copy of the book I wound up buying years ago. I believe I bought it when I was living in North Carolina. So I bought this. It was like in the used bookstore that was there was having like a bargain day or something like that. And I wound up, you know, like whenever they do have those, they have just like all these random books, like outdated, you know, informational books. And then you'll find like a gem within the stacks, right? And this was surrounded by all these other random books that I had absolutely no interest in, that have been sitting collecting dust for years. And this guy was buried beneath them. And it was only $2, so that was pretty cool. I remember that, and I was just like pretty impressed with myself for finding it. So yeah, I've just owned this for years, and I just haven't gotten rid of it yet because I do want to read it, and I will soon. But that is it for this tag. And the last part of this tag is to tag other people as well. So let's just work off the top of my head. I'm going to tag Dr. Philip Chase. I'm gonna tag him to do this one. I think it'd be really interesting to see what his answers are gonna be, being that he is very well read within the fantasy genre. So I'm just curious to see what books he has not read yet. I'm also gonna tag Joanna. I think her answers would be really interesting to this tag. And I'm also gonna tag Bryce from Shelf Centered. He's always a fun one when it comes to tags. And then I'm going to tag Brandon from Brandon's Bookshelf, because he likes to say he doesn't do tags and then he does tags anyways. So I'm calling you out, and I'm going to tag you in this one too, because I think it's, you know, it's short and sweet. So I think this would be really interesting for you guys. So yeah, those are the people I'm tagging: Philip, Joanna, Bryce, and Brandon. So there you go. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a like and subscribe if you want to see a little bit more from me. And I hope you all have an amazing day, and I'll talk to you all soon. Bye.